All right, Herd. It's 2021. He's back. He's better than ever. It's Chris Krebs, tonight's Unicorn Chef. Cook along with us. Recipe is always published a week in advance. Hashtag Unicorn Chef. Share what you make. We want to see it. Chris, how have you been?
It's been a heck of a year, Bryson. It's been interesting, but things are going pretty well. Looking forward to tonight.
Well, of course, the biggest question to start off every show is, what are we drinking?
Well, we're going with the Goombay Smash, which is a pineapple based rum drink that's got a few other things in there. I think you've got them ready to roll, but it is it's an old family favorite. My wife and I used to mix these back in the early days of the courtship, and she's standing right here. But they're delicious, and given that we're doing tacos al pastor, which is a pineapple dish, Mexican taco dish, that we are going to make a drink with it.
All right. So I've got my Goombay Smash already made up. For those of you who didn't follow that along, it's coconut rum, regular rum, curacao, simple syrup, lime juice, and I'm missing something. Oh, you can throw in some bitters with the pineapple juice, because of course we marinated our pineapple juice yesterday for our pork, for those of us cooking along with us.
Or you can just take rum and mix it with pineapple juice, and it tastes really good.
Or you can take just about any alcohol and throw it pineapple juice, and you're going to be all right after the second one.
You know, fancy Bryson here.
Well, Mr. Krebs, what are we making tonight? How do we make this pastor?
All right, so what we have is, what we're doing is, first of all, hold on. We got to give the background here. Why are we doing this? Do you remember?
Nope.
All right. It was National Pineapple Day.
Okay, yeah.
And a bunch of folks in the Twitterverse were, I guess it started with whether you like pineapple on pizza. And I can't remember who it was I responded to. It may have been Armed Forces in Canada. I can't recall the account. Anyway, I said the only acceptable form of cooked pineapple in a main dish is tacos al pastor. You reached out, said, hey, let's do a Unicorn Chef, and here we are. All right. So the trick here, tacos al pastor, I go to Wikipedia for the history of the dish, but it's I guess it's a Mexican, Mexico City specialty. But you take pork, which you slice thinly into basically strips, sheets, whatever you want to call it. I took a bone-in pork butt and sliced it off the bone. Got most of the fat and the gristle out and sliced it up. You otherwise can probably best use a boneless pork butt. I've done that before. I get them at Aldi, and they're really easy to slice. So then you get your spice mix. One of the things I mentioned in the directions was, the key to tacos al pastor is the annato seed, and it's what gives it that color, and it's what gives us that smell and that flavor. But they're very fragrant. But these little things are like little mini. It's like gravel, and so I was trying to be OG and got a mortar and pestle and tried to grind them up, and I kid you not, it took me 30 minutes to grind up just enough for the first time I did this. And so then I just swapped out and got a spice grinder, and it just pulverizes the seed, and then you can add in your cumin seed, and you can add in everything else while you do it. So anyway, you've got your sliced up pork, you've got your mix of annato seed, and then to that you can, again, I'm not a purist here. We talked about this last year. You just kind of throw stuff together to make whatever works for you. If you want to stick to an honest recipe, go find one. But chili powder, garlic, onion powder, salt, pepper, oregano. Mexican oregano is great add here. Anyway, you mix that all together. You take your sliced pork, you put it in a Ziploc bag. That's what I do. And then you put a good bit of pineapple juice I think last night I used like 2 or 3 of these the classic Dole pineapple juice. The kids drank the rest of them, and then I got another pack, and that's what went into some of the drinks. You mix in the spice mix, and then you all toss it all around. You throw it in the fridge, and then you kind of shake it up every couple hours just to make sure it's thinly or evenly distributed. And that's the basics for the overnight marinade. And I did it, I guess, last night, 10:30. You did it earlier than me, but right before bedtime, and then pulled it off and threw it on the grill about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah. So what are some tricks to putting this on a grill? I mean, first of all, you need some kind of way to have the spike to be able to layer those and do that. Yeah.
So this is, you can do it a couple different ways. I just went on Amazon because I knew I would do this. And I've used it before for lamb, gyro-like dishes. But I got, so you get this skewer, you've got the fancy one.
So one of the advantages with this one is it has the built-in bowl at the bottom, so it's collecting the juices, so you don't need something else to do it. But this isn't fancy. This is like $20.
So you get that, and I'm not sure if that one has, but it keeps the one I've got, and I'll go pull it off here in a second. Has a plate or a little disc about ½ an inch off the bottom of the plate. Yep. And that allows you put down, you slice a little piece of pineapple. Yep, just like on the top there. You slice a little piece off, and I probably, ½ an inch is good enough.
Yeah.
So put that down on the skewer. Yeah, there you go. And then after that, you just start layering the pork on. There are a couple different things you got to, because every piece of pork that you cut off the butt's not going to be even. Whether it's thickness or whatever. So you just kind of got to go, play around with it as you go along. What I've started to do is I'll put some of the thicker pieces on the bottom, and then start rather than trying to evenly distribute them, put a piece that may look like about that size, and rather than put it square down the middle, I'll put it on one side and then alternate around, and so you get a thicker. A stack of meat that actually cooks a little bit more evenly. But what we're going to do is we're going to slice some off, and then we're going to put it back on the grill so it continues to cook. So you've got the skewer, you've got the stack. I've got it home. I'm not at home right now. I'm down in rural Virginia. But what I've got at home is a big green egg. So it's a ceramic charcoal smoker that allows for really consistent low temperatures, and so you can really roast effectively. What I'm using here is it's sacrilegious to some in this community, I understand, but it's a pellet smoker. It's a pellet grill. It's a Rectech Bullseye. So it looks kind of like a classic Weber kettle, but it's got the little sidecar pellet smoker. And so I took the grid off of that, and I set down in the, if you saw it on Twitter, you saw the rig. My last tweet on Twitter, responding to Bryson. Maybe he can pull it up. And anyway, I said it's probably cooking at about, I think it was at about 350, 325, 350, something like that. And let it go for about an hour, and then I put it down to 225, even with the Polder with the temperature probe in there. And when it hits 160, that's when it's ready to go. And it should, just like Bryson, will have some nice crispy bits, but should have that good, reddish color. Cook through the pineapple is going to be super sweet and a little smoky, and ready to slice and all that.
So you can see where I've cut some off. You can see the red coming through. You can see the crispy bits. One of the things that I do, kind of taking sort of the old pork BBQ trick, though, is I also continually spritz mine with pineapple juice throughout the roast. Kind of helps keep it a little bit moist, and you got to get a little bit more of that caramelization on the outside for a bit of the Maillard effect.
Yep. So I'm going to go grab mine real quick. See what it looks like. Be right back.
Since he brought up the pellet grill, I think we had some some girl shaming a few months ago with one of our fellow unicorn chefs as well. Whatever works for you, right? If you are using the old school Coleman $39 special in aluminum, it doesn't matter, right? Cook what works for you. You're not cooking for anybody else. Nobody else has to eat this. And so personally, I use a Kamado Joe 3. And I love that because it allows like the thick ceramic. It's pretty much just a little more engineered big green egg. But it gives me that ability to work with hard woods, keep the temperatures. So it's really good for getting a really high heat or keeping a low and slow for a smoke. I did mine at a consistent 350 to 375. I didn't even really, I mean, I put temperature probes in mine, but I didn't really need to. You can just kind of get it to that point. And I just kept shaving it off and eating as I went. Hello. As Mike said, fire is fire. I personally, I'm kind of jelly of the Rectex where you can just kind of set it and forget it, and the pellet automatically is there feeding the smoke for longer smokes. I mean, I can consistently keep a temperature for a smoke for about 2 to 4 hours, and then it takes a little bit of effort. So the longer stuff, I tend to cheat or come up with other ways. The one thing I do like that I get at an advantage with the Kamado Joe versus like a Rectex is I can do that high temperature. When I want to sear a steak at 700, I can do that just using the right fuel. Whereas the automated pellet smokers are just made to be smokers. So you're kind of getting a one-stop shop versus something that can be more flexible. Your son said hello to us.
Jack.
Hold on.
Say hi. Jack's the reason I didn't get to go to Singapore Cyber Week a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was at the playground. He was 2?
No, just turned 3.
Just turned 3.
Yeah.
What's he now?
He's about to turn 5.
Really? Touching him. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi.
He fell off a piece of playground equipment and broke his femur the day before I was supposed to go to Singapore. So that was fun. All right. So that's my tower of meat. So you get some pieces that kind of hang over a little bit. That's all right. And I think what Bryson said earlier about how you slice them out. So the trick here is so we can do this. So you just everybody's seen this at the Euro cart, or if you have a sharp enough knife, you sharpen. Anyway, you get the trick. You just slice off the edge, and it gives you what you need for, slice it pretty thin, and that gives you what you need for a taco. And then you put the rest back on. Sharper. Used to be a little tricky. It's not super still, but you get a little bit, you got enough for a taco. Pretty good.
And you got to make sure you test it as you go. You want to make sure it tastes good.
Yeah, pork. I mean, you slice it thin enough. Pork will. It's okay if it's a little pink, but you want to cook pork to 160. You want to cook it at 160, so if you've got a probe in it, that will tell you what you got.
So while you're doing that, what have you been up to? It's not everybody's heard from you in a while.
Haven't heard from me. I haven't shut up for 7 months. How many months has it been now? It's 8. That thing, time's flying by. When did we do it last year? When did we do?
We did your episode last year about the same time. I want to say it was June, July, August.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, that was right in the middle of lockdown, right? That was about the kickoff, not the kickoff, but part of where we really saw the Russian FSB take off. We were able to investigate a lot of their activity. started to see some Iranian activities, still and then we got into the fall, and October, obviously, with some of the disinformation where the Iranians were claiming to be the Proud Boys, sending out intimidating emails to folks. Got on top of that, and then the election rolls around, and we all know what happened there. And then I got fired on the 17th, and that's when things got a little different. So been out of government now since late November. Had an opportunity to do some interesting things in December with some TV opportunities. But it was funny, right in the middle of December. There you go. The new CEO of SolarWinds reached out, and as he was coming in, he wanted some outside help to kind of understand what his security posture was internally for CorpNet and then also product security. So I've been talking to a buddy of mine, Alex Stamos, who was at Yahoo and Facebook and a couple other places. We've been around, had his own consulting companies in the past. We've been talking about setting something up focused on helping that systemically important part of the IT software industry that maybe not fully resourced to the level of Microsoft, that might not be on the order of Google or Amazon. But nonetheless, they're systemically important. I mean, it really was the SolarWinds example. I think most of us probably had heard of the company, but didn't really know who they were or where they plugged in or just how important they were to so many organizations. And we continue to see this over and over and over. So Sudhakar Ramakrishna reached out and said, hey, can you guys come in? We jumped on the opportunity. And that was the first few months of 2021 rather. And then at the same time, I joined on with the Aspen Institute. We're looking, I'm co-chairing the Commission on Information Disorder and working with a pretty diverse group of folks there to see if we can't provide some recommendations to industry and government on how to get our arms around this rampant disinformation challenge. And I'm not naive or have a sense of all knowing how to fix things. But this is, we're going to have some recommendations I think will help. But the bigger problem is going to take a lot longer and a lot more study to figure out how to get through it. And in the meantime, just been talking to a bunch of folks, reaching out, doing a bunch of speaking engagements, growing a company with Alex, the Krebs group. You can check us out, and we are hiring. So check us out at ks.group. But it's been a wild ride, and I think given what we're seeing out there with COVID. Right now, it's going to continue to be a wild ride for all of us, and I hope everybody's being safe and making good decisions. And if you haven't gotten the vaccine yet, I'm going to be one of those that's going to encourage you to get the vaccine. I won't go too much further than that, but we will happy to take any. Well, I guess we're doing questions here, but there you go. Wow, look at you.
For the one, I didn't want to be outside to have to do the grill part because I'm right next to 27, so it gets pretty loud. And I wanted to make sure I was fully prepared to not have to worry about making my food while attending this. So a lot of folks are always kind of interested in the entrepreneur side of this, right? I mean, so you went from being director of CISA to now being an entrepreneur with a consulting group. What are some of the things you've learned along the way and some surprises that you weren't expecting?
So we're 7 months old now as a company, coming on the end of our 7th month. We're at about a dozen people, and I think it's not. It shouldn't be too surprising, but hiring really is one of the hardest parts of building a company. And hiring everybody knows people, and you'll always get resumes, but it's always the same people. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but how are we as a community? And we talked about this last summer, right? but how are we going to broaden our horizons and bring new people into the community? How are we going to have more diverse and representative organizations? And that's the thing that I think I struggle with at least the most is how do we really get a group? How do we get a team? How do we get a company that reflects not the community, but the community as we want it to be, and the United States of America writ large. And so we're going to be kicking off a couple of different hiring initiatives, I think, through the fall to jumpstart that. To make sure that at least aspirationally that we look like we are the company that we want to be. So hiring is the toughest. We're lucky. I've got enough, unfortunately, notoriety where people reach out. I think one of the other challenges is really affecting change in organizations in a way that you're welcomed internally. I'm not really talking cybersecurity companies here. I'm talking, in some sense, just enterprise or IT enterprise services, and then some hard infrastructure companies. And the thing that really always makes the difference is when leadership, and I say leadership from a CEO perspective and a board, when they buy in, everything's 1,000 times easier. It's that same. It's just one of those things that I can relate to at CISA when I would say, all right, this initiative right here is going to be a priority for us. Everyone go do it. And then everyone's like, well, I got a lot of other stuff I'm supposed to do. So you really have to tag somebody with the job, unfortunately, but also empower them, give them support in the boost they need to get the job done.
I'm smiling because you and I had that conversation last year.
Yeah. I mean, it's that, I see that in every organization. And that was really what was so unique about the SolarWinds engagement was just Sudhakar was committed to security and making the improvements that the organization needed. And that, it's such a kickstart. I'm going to go put this back on the grill. I'll be right back.
All right, go for it. All of y'all at home, feel free to throw in questions here. I'm going to, while I wait for your questions to roll in and Mike continue to be the crated wine lovable jackass that he is, I'm going to be eating my al pastor and see what you all come up with. Full circle 2021. So there are actually some box wines that are not bad. Most people think of box wine, they think of the $2 Chuck Franja kind of thing. There are some box wines. I'm not going to put them up against this is like ho, but they're drinkable. They are drinkable. Yeah, I agree, Caitlin. Box wine has come a long way. Like what? There's some California box wines. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm not saying I drink them these days. But I have had box wine that's drinkable. Black box isn't bad. That's fair. That's fair, Mike. I feel like I'm on one of those Japanese paid shows where people watch me eat. ASMR eating.
So you just came back from a trip. Where'd you go?
Yeah, so they flew me out for Tel Aviv Cyber Week last week, and I gave a talk on how the changes to Rule 41 in the federal court procedures in 2016 led to the FBI being able to, unannounced, go onto private assets and remove the compromised Chinese web shells. That is a whole brave new world, and that was the name of my talk. And I actually submitted that for RSA 2022 because there are a lot more things going on that are parallel to that are going to take this to a whole other level. And essentially, I was proposing a framework to take a look at government intervention in private cyber assets.
So why don't here's my take, right? I think when 2015, 2016 came along in the 41B expansion or modification, I think there was a lot of, gnashing of teeth, rending of clothes, concern that the FBI would abuse it and what would that look like. And then we didn't hear anything about it, right, for nigh on 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
And then boom, out of nowhere, uninstall hafnium shells.
Yep.
And it was almost impressive in its restraint and effectiveness. I mean, that's the thing that I think got most of us. I don't know what the calculus was. Obviously, not on the inside, and certainly not inside the FBI. But how much of this was like pushing the button and being like, "Oh, God, please work, please don't go south on us."
They tested it before they deployed it. In my talk, I provided a direct link to the search warrant, which I went through, of course, as a primary source. It's redacted. I think one of the funny things about that is they published the redacted search warrant as proof of them attempting to contact the companies, even though the companies that were identified in it were redacted.
That's not.
That doesn't make sense, right? But the other thing that was really interesting about that goes back to the 41 change, is that you only have to get authorization from one district court judge to go into other jurisdictions. This is where things start to get interesting, because the old school MLAT process for being able to do things internationally, they're looking at revamping that at the Treaty of Budapest for the Council for Europe.
Right.
Which means in this future realm, in an update to the Budapest Treaty, I can get approval in the Southern District, which is where they got it in Houston, and then serve directly on a foreign private asset.
Right.
Nobody's talking about this.
What?
Nobody's talking about this.
Right.
So that was my talk last week in Israel.
I mean, it's part of, when you think about it, it's part of the US-UK agreement, the Cloud Act, or at least a framework. That's what I was always pushing for, was in the Cloud Act was a framework where you could at least categorize countries into, you could establish with the US-UK agreement as the first one off, here are the things that we're allowed to do within each other's sovereign territories, and here's what notice we'll give, things like that. There's a second set of countries that would be probably more in line with, so where you have good relationships, but you don't have pre-clearance for operations. And then the third is where you just don't care, right? You're going to go act because you're never going to get it from that country. It's a Russia example, for instance, where you're going to take action. You're just going to have to live with the consequences.
Well, I mean, this is, I think, one of these uncomfortable realities where the dystopian sci-fi of the past comes around full circle in a practical way, which is that assets are inextricably linked, whether they're public and they're private, right? It is a whole of nation problem.
Yeah.
And the reality is that most of the nation is in before we went live, we were talking about our good friend Wendy Nather, who was also out in Israel with me, who came up with the concept of the cyber poverty line and the haves and the have-nots. And most people, right? Most of the debates we talk about, we're like debating the top percent. It's like, how do I help the billionaires in cyber?
Yeah.
And the reality is 99.999% of organizations are have-nots. They are 1 person, 10 person, 100 person, 1,000 person companies that have no chance. And they are part of the overall ecosystem and surface area of risk.
Right. So by the way, what I'm doing right now is what we did last summer.
The onions.
Real quick pickled onions. So I take and this was not in the recipe, so I apologize, but I take even portions of water and apple cider vinegar. You want like a milder vinegar. So rice wine vinegar works too, but don't use white distilled vinegar. So apple cider or rice wine. And you put about 2 to 3 tablespoons of salt, 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar, so even portions, and then you boil it, or at least until the the salt, the salt and the sugar melt. And then what you do is you get a red onion and you just thinly slice it. You throw it in a jar, and then you cover it with that hot mixture. Wait for it to cool, cover it, put a lid on it rather, and you can throw it in, and then add some, what do you call them, peppercorns. You throw it in the fridge, and it takes maybe about an hour for it to get a nice pickled, that red pickled color that you'll see at the best taco place in DC, Taqueria Poblano. That's my call, at least.
Taqueria Poblano is good. One of the other things that I learned from Chris last year was smoking tomatoes and then keeping that on hand. So if you want to try like a little different approach to pico de gallo, try making your pico de gallo with smoked tomatoes. Kind of like, again, it's just one of those things. It's like fun to add another level.
I've never done that. I mean, I've never done that. Not with salsa. The smoked tomatoes, I typically set them up right as like an Italian setup, which is so it's like you grape tomatoes, toss them in with olive oil, white wine, or whatever kind of wine you want, salt, pepper, oregano, thyme, basil, all dry or fresh, whatever. Some garlic and olive oil. Already said that. And then you throw them in I use cake tins.
So that's something I took from you and I did it differently. I just straight smoke them and then I keep them in salt and olive oil and then I can flavor them a lot of different directions. Yeah. So it doesn't just end up in an Italian way. It's basically just smoked tomato and anything that has tomato, I can throw it in there and it doesn't have the bias already.
Yep. And that's, absolutely. But the way I cook them, no, they're great as a base for spaghetti. I use it as a tomato sauce, or rather a pizza sauce. Also, it's really good because you don't need to blend it. You can use them as whole tomatoes as like a bruschetta. They're awesome on top of shrimp and grits and mac and cheese. And also I think, what did we do last year? Shrimp pasta? The grilled shrimp? I think that's what we did.
We did oysters, and then funny, I don't actually remember the recipe.
I think we did shrimp. Yeah, we did.
Was it shrimp? Yeah, because I think I showed my blanched shrimp trick.
Yes. Yep.
So we got a question for the audience. Food question: what do you eat when you want to reward yourself?
Oh man, that is steak. I'm pretty basic like that. My daughter's sitting right here, and she's like, "Yeah, steak." My wife's not a huge steak fan, but I'll go down to. There's a great butcher. I don't know if we talked about it last time, but down in Del Rey, for those that live in Northern Virginia or the DC area, in Del Rey, there's an amazing butcher called Let's Meat on the Avenue, and they have local steaks. So it's funny when they knew who I was all along, and so it was they kept me going through COVID lockdown, and I think I also helped fund them staying open. No, they're big, great. They have a very healthy customer base. But when JBS happened, I was in there. I was like, "So are you worried at all about?" Well, no, we're all locally sourced, from Virginia and North Carolina, from pork and beef and all that. I was like, "Yeah, but when the grocery stores run out, you're going to see your demand go way up." Anyway, JBS got sorted out fairly quickly. But anyway, Let's Meet on the Avenue. They've got a cut that I had never had before. Called bavette, and it's basically right here, right off the ribs, but it's a really flavorful, meaty cut that cooks really nicely. I just do it right there on a cast iron skillet on either on the grill or on the range, and they also have every Wednesday. So every Wednesday they do about 10 different house-made sausages So they'll have a chorizo, an Italian sausage. They'll do. They'll typically do a lamb sausage. They'll do an Asian type sausage that could be like a gyoza, or they'll do a Chinese style, and then they'll have like a bangers, like a breakfast sausage. So it's just phenomenal, and I tend to go in there, pick up about 12 different, or not 12 different, but 12 of a variety of sausages each week. What do you? Well, and so that's if I'm cooking. Going out, I mean, sushi. No. How do we? What is our reward dinner? Like
Sushi. Sushi.
Yeah. What about you, Bryson?
Well, I'm gonna give a local shout out to Bresca. So they have a unique meal that they do occasionally called duck la presse, which is based on a 19th century recipe where it was a large. It's basically a large metal thing, and what you do is they cook the duck. They take out all the insides of the duck. They press that down, and they turn that into a blood sauce with different herbs. And so I was just there on Sunday for reservations I made a month in advance. What's that?
Where?
Bresca off of 14th Street.
I didn't know if someone in DC does that, because the place that's really known for that is. Where is it? New York?
I don't know anybody else who does that. I mean, there's certainly a lot of great. I mean, the Peking House down off of King Street.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Oh, I'll need it.
Yeah, no. So they do a 19th century French duck, and it is.
Yeah.
It's unique. It's worth it, right? It's one of those things like you're paying for it, but it is.
Yeah.
It's worth it to do it once. That was a reward meal for me to do that on Sunday. I've been looking forward to that because, of course, I like to do my gastronomic adventures, and particularly when I go out, I want to eat something that is a pain in the butt for me to make at home.
Or you can't possibly make it home.
Or in this case, right? I'm not going to spend $500 for this particular device to make a food that way, right? I want something that I'm not going to do or I don't want to do.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I like hollandaise, because there's always the risk of a chef screwing that up, but doing a double boil and all that effort for just a sauce, I'm not going to do that. And then my reset meal, particularly when I'm traveling all the time, is sushi. I find sushi is just like the thing that like puts me back like where I want to be, to no matter what I went through, which including my trip to Israel was really painful. I had some rough times last week.
You had a lovely time there.
I had a lovely time. My hosts were wonderful. I don't want to stay at that hotel again.
Right. And I was like, what? All right. So while we're plugging local things. All right. I mean, if we jump the shark on IPAs, but again, if you're in the DC area, find that Rocket Frog.
Oh, I haven't had that before.
It gave you some.
You gave me Rocket Frog?
I think so. Anyway, these guys are out in Sterling. I think they're literal NASA. I think they're NASA scientists.
They're beer scientists. Rocket beer surgery.
Literal rocket scientists. Anyway, all of their beers are space themed. But it at least what's locally available, because you can't get like Sip of Sunshine or whatever and all that like Treehouse Brewing and even the stuff down in Richmond that's really good. You can't get that up here. Anyway, it is one of my favorite IPAs, and I'm lame now, I guess, but I don't drink multiple beers. Oddly, I will drink one, and see that pours pretty clear. I don't like hazy ones. Anyway, it's good. But find it. It's outstanding. Again, in Del Rey, Market to Market has it, as well as, and if you're in DC, I think Streets Market, because there are a couple of those in the area. What else? So as you saw, as Bryson made his taco, what I typically put on these tacos, when you slice it, you got it on the tortilla. I like Did you use flour or corn?
I got a flour here. Usually I prefer corn.
Yeah. So corn, get the smaller ones. And the coolest thing, I think this first happened in, like the first time I noticed it was this time last year when what's the name of that? Mission? Yeah, Mission had those little street taco size. So the tiny ones, I love those. Like that's perfect. So I can have 3 or 4 tacos. I mean, I guess you could have 3 or 4 the normal size. But those little street taco sizes, those are perfect. Corn or tortilla, either way. Anyway, you slice, you get the pork on the taco, and then you want to mince. I like mincing white onion, so just about that size. And the trick there, I don't know if we can do knife skills here, but with an onion, I tend to halve them, and easiest way to do that. Let's move this up. So easiest way to do that, right, is you take the knife, you cut down into the onion about 1/4 inch slices. You just bring it all the way across. This knife needs to be sharpened. And then slice through and up. So you start slicing them up like that. Yeah, this knife sucks. And then, boom, you just got your little dices of onion. And that's the perfect size. You put a little bit of that on top of the taco, then some cilantro, and whatever kind of like pico gallo you want. But also, as Bryson has done, sliced pineapple.
Yeah, to mix mine up and give it a little bit different flavor, I actually did my pico de gallo with some lemongrass.
That is delicious. Don't eat that if you're pregnant, but yes, it's very good. I know you're not.
I'm currently not pregnant. Thank you, Chris.
Congratulations.
Or not, as the case may be.
All right. So at this point, anyway, that's still boiling. But again, I'll just take that with the red onion. It's whether it's for tonight or a separate time, the pickled red onions. As soon as that boils off, I'll dump it in. I usually use a mason jar or something like that. I don't have enough onions right now to fill that, but it's a good place to start. So Bryson, what do you got going on for the rest of the summer and then the fall?
DEF CON next week. ICS Village is all virtual for that. Our keynote is P.W. Singer with a custom critical infrastructure fiction story to kick things off. I think it's pretty cool. We'll have tabletop exercises, our capture the flag, workshops, talks as usual. Then right after that, I am finally taking a goddamn vacation.
Where are you going?
Puerto Rico for 8 days.
Nice.
So I'm a single dad. I have a 17-year-old daughter, and we both really just needed to do something. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, so like, where do you want to go? And she's like, let's go to Europe. And I'm like, yeah, Emma, Europe's kind of closed, and that we don't know what that's going to look like. How about something closer? So first thing, she didn't know how far away Europe was. I was like, yeah, it's not like a 2-hour flight. Like that's a day. Like it's gonna, So I picked Puerto Rico as kind of a safe in between.
No, it's great. Put some money in the economy down there. Where are you going?
So I've been before. We're gonna come in, and as soon as we land, we're gonna go immediately over to the Condado, which is close by. Yeah. Do a day or two on the tourist beach, then head over to catch the ferry across to Vieques. Yeah. I've got tours set up for Mosquito Bay to see the shining dinoflagellates, the #1 place in the world for that.
Yep.
Then staying on the east side of the island, so hit the rainforest. She's never been to a rainforest, like kind of spend a couple of days there.
Yep.
And then close it all out by I got a suite downtown in Old Town San Juan.
Very cool.
and heading on back.
Puerto Rico is it's a really cool island. I spent a lot of time down there in 2017 during Maria and the response. Got to see a good bit of the island that you don't normally see, including up in the mountains. It's beautiful. I've been to the east side of the island before as well, and done the rainforest thing. So you all should have a good time. That's August. That's mid-August.
Yeah, that's mid-August. I can't remember. I know I'm booked with like different trips and talks and different things through October. Kind of hard to keep it all straight, particularly with everything up in the air. I was supposed to be in a military exercise in Brazil in October, but I don't think that's going to happen with the way that COVID is still rearing the ugly specter. I think we've got a CISA happy hour reunion in September or October. I don't remember the exact date. Of course, I'm not going to share it on here when that is, but so I think we've got that booked. Yeah, I mean, really just kind of taking it one day at a time, because all of the things we really kind of hoped we'd shake things by now. Don't think we kind of hit that herd immunity to get there. And so I'm really worried about Delta and Lambda.
Well,
I was
after that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's kind of the thing that keeps going. I was at a private speaking event on Friday, and the former general in charge of medical for Europe, and he's now in charge of one of the major regional healthcare systems. He was giving us a brief on the virus, and it was we're all ready to get past this, right? Like nobody wants to continue to be in this situation, and it was disheartening.
It's rough. I mean, you see the heat map of where the outbreaks are. And I'm not talking about the vaccinated outbreaks, but the unvaccinated community. So anyway, I'm in the same spot. I've got, we're going to be down here for a few weeks off and on, back and forth until school starts in September. And then the kids are back in school in Virginia. At least they're going to be in person. And then same thing, a bunch of scheduled trips for talks and client work, and all kind of crossing our fingers, hoping things continue. I just, like I said on Twitter yesterday, and if this was construed as shaming people, it certainly wasn't. But I got 5 kids, under 12 that are unvaccinated, that can't get the vaccine, and I've got to think, risk-based decision making. We're all risk managers, right? So heading out there to Vegas the whole plan of my DEF CON Black Hat experience was to reconnect, mingle, catch up with people. It wasn't a strategic in and out strike. It was much more of kind of the saturation engagement, and I couldn't make the two meet up in the middle. So. I'm looking forward. I wish, everybody that goes, they have a good time, but they're safe. And, I'm looking forward to next year. I taped for B-sides earlier today. And that's Jack again. He did not nap today. 4-year-olds should nap. And so he's losing his mind. But anyway, I hope everybody goes out there, enjoys themselves. Is safe.
Yeah, no, on the shaming thing, everybody has to make their own decisions on their own risk profile. But being vaccinated is not one of those risk decisions. That's something that affects all of us. All right, I'm going to step off the soapbox.
I'm trying not to be preachy here, but
I think most of our audience is probably is more than sympathetic. How close are you to coming to plating? I already ate one of mine. I can't eat this next one because I've already got it plated and ready to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab it again right now, and I've got my onion. I've got my cilantro. Let me do a. By the way, just so everybody knows, and I've talked about this before. I don't know if I talked about this, but as the team, I was not involved in these decisions, but as the team was trying to decide what would be topic of what ultimately became the war on pineapple is they figured out what those binary issues were, where they landed up with pineapple on pizza on the war on pineapple. They thought about first was salt and vinegar chips, but the other one was cilantro. Like my father-in-law has that reaction where it tastes like kerosene. I love it. I mean,
It tastes like soap. It tastes like soap to them.
I love it. In fact, where is it? This, if you like cilantro and you like hot sauce, cilantro hot sauce is amazing. It's hot sauce with cilantro in it. And I'll probably put that on my taco. All right, I'll be right back.
All right, y'all. This is it. This is the final stretch. Any last questions you got? Otherwise, we're going to be plating and closing out and eating. Yeah, cilantro is very controversial. It's like Brussels sprouts for a lot of folks. They're just they just can't appreciate it. And it's not, it's not their fault. They're just taste a certain way. Yeah, I think I've had 2 or 3 Goombay Smashes right now, so I'm feeling kind of Mike Ellis level. Glad you enjoyed it. Full Circle 2021. I'm trying really hard not to eat this because I need to get the proper picture to close out the episode, but it's like sitting here and it looks so good. It's asking to eat me, but I can't. I gotta wait. I want to make these for a wedding. I'm going to, but they might be too dangerous. The Goombay Smashes or the tacos. The tacos. This is actually a great way to feed a lot of people because you're just creating a couple of pounds of meat and it cooks down really well. The Goombay Smash is kind of the same thing. It's really easy to make a lot of these. One of the advantages with the pineapple juice is you've got a great base that kind of hard to mess up from there. Yeah, I figured.
All right. Let us slice.
Let us plate.
So finished off the grill product.
Angels crying in the background.
What's that?
Angels crying in the background.
Yes.
It looks beautiful, man. Tell you what, this Goombay Smash, as I go down the pitcher, just tastes better and better. Can I also say you're getting better looking at the same time? I don't know. Maybe the two are correlated.
Right, son. I will admit that's my sous chef. Emily, say hi.
Emily, come in and say hi.
Oh, I will.
You haven't followed her on Twitter. She's the funnier.
Hi.
She's the funnier
I got
one.
a duck. I'm tall.
Cheers.
Cheers. I moved on, Pat. He did not tell me about the Goombay Smash. Otherwise, we're
a little distracted.
Yeah, a little distracted.
All right.
So I'm just.
I'm gonna go with the corn. Get one of those plates, please. Corn. Sometimes you want to throw 2 tacos on or 2 tortillas on for corn, just because they're thin and tend to break.
We usually toast them.
Yeah, I'm not though. All right, so put a little bit of onion on, a little bit of cilantro, lime juice. Oh, you know what I didn't do?
Get some pineapple and onion in there. Yeah, there you go.
The only acceptable use of cooked pineapple. Put on there. A bit of cilantro on top.
What about?
Yeah, I want to try that hot sauce. I hadn't heard that one before. I like the cilantro base.
Oh yeah, it's tasty. It's got a little flecks of it in there. You can see it. All right. All right. And Forgive the Scottish plaid, but
Hold on. You got to get in there. You got to get in the picture there too.
you coming in, Emily?
No, I don't need to be in it.
Oh, come on, Emily, get in there.
Oh, see, the camera's throwing me off.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right.
All right.
You have a bite?
Go for it. Tell us what you think. How's yours? Mine was amazing.
That is good stuff.
That is good stuff. So if you make this at home, we want to see what you made. Hashtag Unicorn Chef, share it, share your version, right? It's always cool how different folks come up with their own way of doing this. Chris, last words you would like to leave our audience with?
Hey, look, here's the one piece, or the one thing I want to say is the last year has been rough for a lot of people. We've all been through a lot of different experiences, good, bad. We're where we are. We still got a little bit more on this COVID thing. But to those that supported me last year, I just want to thank you from the the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family. I know that we all see that sometimes the InfoSec community can be pretty tough on each other, but I just got to say that just to see the upswell, the groundswell of support that I got really meant a lot to me. And so I want to thank everyone for that. And I'll never forget it. So if you need anything, please do reach out. You can find me on the Twitters or KS Group. Go to ks.group.
Who is going to be hiring shortly. So look for more of those announcements coming out.
We are hiring.
And Chris, on behalf of the community, I got to tell you, it was not a hard decision to stay by you. See y'all next week on Unicorn Chef.